Hello vlog family. Is it Wednesday? Today's Wednesday.
Today is Wednesday, yep.
It's Wednesday evening and I realized I have not started this vlog at all for this week. So I thought I'd just go ahead and prop you up while we're prepping for supper tonight. And we're making a beef and bean taco casserole. And we've only made it one other time, but it was delicious that time. So we're doing it again.
Nice to return back to something that you know it tastes good when you've had a bit of a misfire on one of the, recipes that don't turn out so well.
Yeah, we tried making a slow cooker chicken and dumpling soup the other night, and it wasn't bad, but it also really wasn't good. So we did not let ourselves waste any and finished all of the leftovers, but coming back to a sort of comfort meal is always a welcome decision after that. But I do really like trying new meals and experimenting with things and learning what works and what doesn't. Which, I was telling you this, that since we've been married, I found myself, when we first got married and we tried new recipes, I would look at the recipe and follow it word for word no matter what. I would not stray from it at all. And since we've gotten married, just from trying new recipes so often, I've found myself being able to read a recipe and be like, yeah, that's not going to taste the greatest. How about I do this instead? And just tweaking it before I even try it. Now, if it's something that's like way out in left field that we've never even experimented with in any other sort of way, then I'll keep it with the original.
Yep.
Pretty closely, but
Yep.
a lot of times. Or I can look at something and be like, I don't think I want to try that because that doesn't sound that good. This calls for 4 green onions, and I didn't bother buying green onions because I thought we'll just use regular onions. About how much of a whole onion should I use? Like a fourth? Not quite?
How large is the onion? That guy, for how many green onions does it call for?
4 medium green onions.
4 medium?
It says about a fourth of a cup worth.
Yeah, I mean, a quarter of this size would probably do well, and to remember that this is adding a lot more of the poignant flavor.
Yeah, that's true.
So the flavor equivalent, I would say, is about a quarter of this.
Okay.
One this size.
Cool. I'm gonna pop this back over here so it doesn't get food juice on it. Like my pajamas?
I love your pajamas, dear.
I like them.
Oh, you weren't talking to me, sorry.
Well, I was kind of talking to you.
Well, I suppose so.
It's mostly talking to people who we can't see right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. It doesn't even call for zucchini, but I'm adding it anyway.
Do it! Because vegetables are our friends.
Ooh, this one might not be our friend. This one might need to be the garbage's friend. I'm gonna set that in there for now. Alright, Dan the cameraman, if you want to grab the camera and give him a close-up of this, you can just grab the entire tripod.
Oh, copy that.
That'll make it way easier. So this is what the mixture looks like before we put it in the oven. Just gotta put a little bit of cheese on there. Rinse off my hand quick. And then we will bake it. And when it is done baking, it will look like this. Ta-da! That is what it looks like out of the oven. Listen to that sizzle. And we have some avocado that Dan has very beautifully arranged on the plate that I plan on devouring. Cream cheese, jalapenos, and then Dan's array of hot sauces.
Cream cheese?
Sour cream, not cream cheese. That would be very bad. Hello, everybody. We are currently on our way to the fitness center to go exercise. We are trying to take advantage of that fitness center a little more than what we used to. And I think for the most part we've been pretty decent about it.
Yeah.
Like taking advantage of using that and whatnot. Oh, there's a little bird right on top of that.
Nice.
Bye, bird. So that is what we're about to do now. And then later we're gonna have some friends over. Yeah, that's about it.
Yep. And practice Hebrew.
Yes, and practice Hebrew. And before I forget, I wanted to say, if you don't follow me on Snapchat already, to do that, because I'm starting to have more fun with it. I was showing Dan at work. I took a whole bunch of pictures of dogs, and a lot of the dogs this Snapchat filter worked for. So I had a lot of fun with that, but I plan on doing that more. So like I said, if you don't follow me on Snapchat, do that. I'll make sure to put the link in the description. So fitness center was closed when we got there because they had just steam cleaned the carpets. So we instead ran, and Dan usually runs when we exercise. I usually do not run. So I'm really tired. But Dan says I did good, and he went slow enough for me that I didn't completely die, but my legs are very wobbly now, and I am out of breath. And if it wasn't this cool outside, my face would be bright red if it isn't already, and and I would be sweating profusely. So, okay, but good workout. Now it's time to eat and relax. All right, practicing some Hebrew.
Yes.
So let me see, learning some of the names in Hebrew. So let me see. Okay, we are on this one.
This is the one. Yep.
Okay, so that is an aleph with the patak. So that'd be the a. A beit and a shawah. And that would be a silent shawah.
Why is it silent?
Because there's a short vowel right before it, preceding it. So that would be ab. That is a shin with a kamatz. So it'd be sha. Lamed. That is a, oh gosh, that is a vav it's a holum. So it's a holum vav.
Very good.
And that would make the o sound and a mem. So it would be Abshalom.
Abshalom. Very good.
Abshalom. What's that name? Abshalom.
Okay.
I don't know.
Shalom. Well, I can tell you that I mean, strictly speaking, Ab is father and Shalom is peace. So its meaning would be father of peace, but it is a name. It's a proper name. Think it's one of David's sons.
Absalom.
Yes, very good. Very, very good.
Got this. It's Saturday night. I'm just hanging out at home and waiting for Dan to get home from work. And I thought I'd go ahead and share with you something that I'm doing this year. It's not really a New Year's resolution. It's just kind of something that I decided to start doing. And that is make a reading list of books that I want to read in 2018. And I have never done this before because until recently, the thought of sitting down and just reading a book, unless it was like a Harry Potter book or one of the Chronicles of Narnia or something along those lines, the idea never interested me at all. So, but recently I have gotten more into reading books, I've come to love it even more, and am actually writing a list of all of the books that I want to read this year. And I have a decent stack of them currently, and I've already finished 2 of them, so that's pretty good. But I thought I'd just go ahead and show you what they were in case there was any there that sort of interested you. But I would be very curious to know if you guys have read any of these books, what you thought of them, if there were any books you would think that I would be interested in seeing, or reading, and seeing, maybe. But to then also just add any to my list if you think I would enjoy reading them, or books that you read that you really enjoy. So these are a few that I have. I'll actually just start with the 2 that I have finished. This one Murder on the Orient Express by Agatha Christie. I read this one in a matter of, I think, like 3 days. Well, 4 days, I think. But I read it all the way through because of the new movie that's coming out, and I wanted to read the book first. And I am a big Agatha Christie fan. I love her work. I love murder mysteries in general. So I wanted to read that. It was a pretty easy read. I really liked the way that it was laid out as far as how they broke the book up into sections to solve the murder. I really liked that. But then the other book, I should have stacked these better because now I'm trying to play Jenga. Stay there. Okay. So this was the second book that I've read all the way through. It is To Be a Cat by Matt Haig. And this was a book that I found at Goodwill, and the cover itself just interested me. I thought it was a rather cute cover, and I just flipped through the book itself a little bit and read the little section on the inside of the cover about what it was, and I thought it was like, that sounds like a pretty cute book, so I went ahead and read it all again. Another very easy read, but it was very, very cute. Definitely a British writer, and you would have to find it yourself and read it, but it's a cute little book. But then these are all of them that I have that I am planning on reading. So the one I am currently working on is Anne Frank, and I've read this before. I've read it, I think, in 7th or 8th grade we read this all the way through. Or maybe high school, I really don't remember at this point. And I remember liking it then, but not remembering any of it. So I'm going through it now and rereading it and just finding it absolutely fascinating. So I am enjoying that. And then some of the others that I'm wanting to read, again, probably should have planned this organization a bit better. Okay. I have 3 other murder mysteries: Sue Grafton's D is for Deadbeat, Lillian Jackson Braun, The Cat Who Went Up the Creek, and Kathy Reich's Death du Jour. Sue Grafton, I have all of her books in this series except for X and Y. She does a murder mystery for each letter of the alphabet, and I've read a handful of them already. I've read A, B, and C, and a few other miscellaneous letters as I got the books. So this is the next one on my list. Lillian Jackson Braun is a murder novelist who my mom really enjoyed, and she had a large collection of the Cat Who series, so I found this at a Goodwill and picked it up, and I thought I'd go ahead and read that. And then Kathy Reichs, if you're familiar with the TV show Bones, Kathy Reichs is the mastermind behind that show, and she is a writer and is an author, and so I found one of her books at a Goodwill probably a year and a half ago or so and picked this up, and so I'm planning on reading it this year. So as far as murder mysteries, I tried to keep my selection small so I didn't have so many, but the rest of them are here. We have the 3 C.S. Lewis space trilogy that he has, and then Anne of Green Gables. I'm going to admit I really have very little idea of what this is about, but it's one of those books that you kind of have to read just to say that you've read. So that is on my list, and again, I found it on a Goodwill. And then we have The Lightning Thief, because the Percy Jackson books, I've had so many people say that they're very good, so I thought I would try that. The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. I was lent this book by my sister-in-law, Grace, and she said that she thinks I would find it very fascinating, and I read the back of it and agreed that I do think it would be very fascinating. Oliver Sacks, The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, tells the stories of individuals afflicted with fantastic perceptual and intellectual aberrations, patients who have lost their memories, and with them the greater part of their pasts, who are no longer able to recognize people and common objects, who are stricken with violent tics and grimaces, or who shout involuntary obscenities? Whose limbs have become alien, who have been dismissed as retarded, yet are gifted with uncanny artistic or mathematical talents. And it's just stories upon stories of people like that, and just different clinical tales, and all of that sorts of stuff fascinates me. So that is also on my list of things to read. And then I have The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. I have The Iliad, which I have yet to find the Odyssey, but I plan on finding it. I have Victor Hugo's The Hunchback of Notre Dame, so I'm very interested to read that. And then Girl Online by Zoe Sugg. She is a YouTuber that I watch and I really like, and she's written, I think this is supposed to be a trilogy altogether. And I think she just published her third, but it's a fiction about a girl who writes blogs, and I really had no intention of actually buying the book, but I found it at a Goodwill because that's just where I do all of my book shopping. And I saw it and I thought, yeah, I'll give this a go. And I started it a while back and it's interesting. It hasn't really held my interest that much, but it's one that I'll read for the sake of reading just because I do enjoy Zoe Sugg as a YouTuber and I enjoy her content, so sort of support her in that way. But those are the books that I have. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 altogether, and I've already finished 2. So I don't know if that is a good number to start with, or if that's a very short number or big number to start with. Again, I've never done this before, but it's still January and I've already finished 2, so I feel like I'm doing pretty well, because 2 a month, that would be 24, which is, I don't have that many. So I think I'm doing well, but I thought I'd go ahead and share that with you, because that was something you might be interested in. Yeah, other than that, I am working on more Hebrew, which I showed you a clip of that earlier. Dan is, for those of you who don't know, Dan is going to school to get his master's degree in his Master's of Arts in New Testament Studies. And he's actually currently in the process of applying for a second major to get his Master's of Arts in New Testament and Old Testament Studies. So for the past 3.5 years that we've lived in Charlotte, he has been learning Hebrew and more Greek. And he actually tutors in Hebrew, which is what he did earlier today, as a way of helping him retain all of this information. We bought a second Hebrew workbook from his school, and he is teaching me Hebrew as a way to get more regular practice with teaching it and then remembering it himself, because sometimes the best way that you learn is by teaching something. So that's what we've been working on. And what I'm currently doing, now that I've actually learned what all of the letters and the vowel letters are, I'm going through and reading all of these, and these are actually Hebrew names from the Bible. Like this one right here they already gave you is actually Abraham. And it would take me probably a long time to say that out loud, and this clip is already 10 minutes long. So I'm not gonna, but I did that earlier, so you saw that already, sort of. So that is what I've been working on this past week. Be on the lookout, because at some point during this next week, I am going to be posting the video of how I made that adorable teddy bear sitting in that chair over there. And I am very excited, because if you follow me on Instagram or on Twitter, you would have seen that I posted pictures of the final product of that teddy bear and the little tiny teddy bear side-by-side comparisons. And I can show you quickly that this little guy right here was my very first attempt at a teddy bear, and this guy right there is my very second attempt. And there's a very large difference, and obviously a lot of that has to do with pattern, but because I did 2 different patterns. But I made a video of how I made that second teddy bear, so I'd be very excited for you guys to watch that and tell me what you think. But other than that, I am planning on just hanging out for the rest of the night, relaxing, editing, and I will catch you guys later. Have a nice night. Bye.